pick for the top lane, if that does get locked in.
They seem to be happy with dealing with the Morgana. Again, the Alistar ban over Morgana is very curious for me to see. Now, Morgana would still be strong here. The Black Shield only works on one person. Theoretically, you can get in there and knock back the other. And there is 2 threats on this comp, on blue side this time, for Kingzone when they were running the 1-threat Scion comp in game number 2. Safety in top lane, and then the support pick is what Kingzone need to decide in the second round.
Gonna have to blind pick something for the top lane. Gnar seems like the obvious choice. They'll put more thought into it, as Morgana seems like the foregone conclusion already is going to be locked in. What will it be in the top lane for Khan? The only question left remaining for Kingzone.
Something safe is what we expect. The Jace is available in this game, and he hovers it. The famous pick here, undefeated on the year. He's going on Jace.
This could be the last game, and Khan wants to go out with a bang, saying, what you got, Keen? You got a solo kill on me? Let me show you my Jace.
Khan says, I can't have Cho'Gath into a tank. I'm going hyper carry. I'm going for myself. He's playing for himself, but now Keen jumps onto the Camille to try to answer the 1v1, but it's Khan's Jace, and the crowd explodes.
What a series of events here in the pick and ban. Hey, get off your phones. Look at the screen. We got a crazy pick and ban. Jace versus Camille up in the top side.
And you know what Kingzone is saying? We've had enough of team fighting. Now it's all about the side lanes. Talia hits one side lane. Jace with some items hits a side lane. And then Kai'Sa can do our best Vayne impression from a couple of years ago and look for an all-in in the 1v1 as well. She will situationally be in the mid lane wave clearing, but if you're caught in transition, suddenly Talia, Jace, and Kai'Sa are coming, and you're dead.
Not sure who he was trying to imitate there. Maybe Mowgli, I would have to say, saying he's pretty smooth with the glasses. Either way, we have the field set now. The battleground is set for game number 4. Kingzone on match point. They go for the carry. Finally, Khan gets a chance to unleash himself, but Keen has shown that he can fight this guy 1v1.
There's fighting Khan, and there's fighting Khan on the Jace on this team. Longzhu Gaming into Kingzone DragonX. He has lost once on Jace. 15-1 coming into this game. They don't always prioritize it. They're picking it here and saying, Keen, you want to fight fire with fire? Good luck with Khan's Jace.
So much pressure onto that bit of a rookie in the top side in Keen. Having some of the least experience, perhaps him and Mowgli. Mowgli jumping onto the Gragas, the pick that Spirit looked so strong on in game number 1, saying, I can do it just like my Hyung. Let me show you. I'm gonna take down Peanut as well on the Gragas. Forgoes the Trundle to take that pick as well. Kuro going back to safety with the Azir, and everybody's really curious, can the Kog'Maw do it as well up against the Kai'Sa? Let's jump into game number 4 and find out. All right, hold the phone here. Mowgli taking some damage in the jungle. No fan cheers yet. Okay, we'll let you do it now.
And one more. Always a bit chilling to hear those huge fan crowds. They're loving this timer come in. The countdown, of course, very common at Riot events, but much more different here at Spo TV. Very, very early invade topside, not wanting to give Gragas a free jungling phase like Gragas did earlier in this series. Spirit having a wonderful game earlier today, game number 1. And I want to talk about this pick ban because in some ways the Jace comes out of left field because both teams seem to be erring back towards strong front lines, looking for fights, looking for the 5v5. They see the Kog'Maw draft. They consider their options. Once the Gragas is locked in, they decide they don't want a team fight. There may be too many tools for Afreeca. And Kingzone were only going one area, and that's the jugular. You go for the Jace, saying, we can close the series if we get a lead through the Jace. Early trade, not fantastic for Khan, but this is very much, we want to close this series before Game 5 pick by going for the blind pick Jace, knowing that Keen only has a few options available.
Yeah, certainly looking confident so far, at least at the level 1. Things should eventually change. We've heard legends of Khan's Jace. We casted him multiple times throughout the season. And we finally get to see it return in the finals. I thought it would just be forever banned or looked over by Khan, but he brings it back. So much pressure onto Keen. I can only just imagine being in the booth and as a rookie trying to go up against one of the best top laners in the world in a carry matchup like this.
And the wonders of these best-of-5 series, it always seem to have their own meta. First time we're seeing Kingzone on patch 8.6 is the biggest surprise of the draft is not how Khan got Jace, it's how Prey got Kai'Sa again. Kai'Sa on the day, 4 games in a row. 20 kills already to his name. 3 games into the series. Let's look at damage dealt numbers, Teshwani. She's having a tough one, Valdez.
Yeah.
And what's Tucson doing?
Interesting timing before 3 minutes to throw that one up, but I guess, you know, got to mix it up from time to time. Keep the fans guessing.
But this Jace does come at the cost of really any hope at those mid to late game team fights. There's always things about timings. The reason that Kingzone are so good at the Jace, the reason that we have these memes about, honestly, most other teams going Jace. KT, I like their Jace. I think Kingzone have a great Jace. But it's not just NA Jace, basically every other Jace. That's kind of the meme for me is you need to be so good at playing your side waves to close games as Jace. But that's how Kingzone play. They give all their gold to their top lane. They're happy to have Prey be the lowest income AD carry in the world in a major region. They're happy to have him group, do his thing, usually on Ezreal, this time on the Kai'Sa. And then either you enter lane against Jace with 3 items and you die, or you lose free objectives to the Jace. So they're trying to go for the juggler with the aggressive pick, and it's fun to see it in this big winning game for Kingzone.
Yeah. Looking to strike back. Ooh, that was close. Nice devour. We were talking about how Tucson was having a little bit of trouble once it got later on in these fights with his devour, but at least looking good with it in the lane.
Kind of a struggle for him to be back on the Tom Kench. Knows what he needs to change from game number 3. Top lane, we're seeing a lane gank enacted by Peanut. There's some deep vision. We're seeing some pings towards Mowgli coming into mid. They don't know where Peanut is.
Peanut was edging his way towards the top side, decides he wants to come into the red side jungle of Afreeca now, try to find Mowgli.
Peanut kind of needs to play this game a lot. With hook shot, with the ultimate coming at level 6, if they can control red side jungle, Jace can just do his thing, get lots of auto attacks and poke onto both Keen and the turret. If they don't know where he is, an ultimatum into a Gragas and the squishy Jace is going to be dead. So top lane, red side control as much as possible is what Peanut is tasked for to allow Khan to do his thing.
Mowgli trying to help out. We've seen this before where Khan, when he pushes in so aggressively, the junglers try to fight up against it, but usually I feel like Khan just gets away with it. He pushes so aggressively, hits him under turret, and then the jungler still can't do anything.
The control ward there actually gets massive value because he knows he's under no pressure of being ganked, so even low mana, happy to push in. An all-in attempted by Keen, but it's going to be a bit of poke. Damage be damage. What a refreshing change from some of our earlier games this series.
Keen hasn't blown his pot yet, so in the end of it all, Khan realizing, okay, I need to go back and buy. So Keen should have the push there, maybe bait out the teleport from Khan, and there it is.
Serrated Dirk Rush. We know what Khan is all about. Youmu's Ghost Blade expected here to force the ultimate to be used. The movement speed from the Youmu's to sidestep a hook shot. But the ultimate, of course, nothing can be done there. For now, good lane control in mid lane. We talked a bit about the pick ban chicken where
top lane really low. He's got his ultimate, but he's forced to flash away into the hook shot. Is he going to try to shock blast? The answer is no, as Keen was far enough away.
And that's what happens when you stay in lane against Jace with a Dirk and BDD. Actually going to force Keen to back. Doesn't even have to invest the ultimate. Buys a lot more time in the top side and should force the teleport as well.
Even forces the smite out of Mowgli, which is just obnoxious at the end of it all. To get even more of a lead there. BDD winning the lane so far against Kuro, helping win lane and top side as well as the jungle. So winning in 3 places as one, it's got to feel pretty good.
Jace now has a flash advantage. They lose the control ward that was giving them a lot of information on Mowgli's pathing. But still, definitely set up some success is this Jace. And Peanut's back. He's got a bit of a tent in the top side.
These junglers, certainly, with the carry versus carry matchup, you gotta always look towards the top side as it's just on a knife's edge. If you can get there and push it one direction, you're gonna help out your team so much.
And to people, again, who may not have joined us for the entire season, this hasn't been Khan all season. He hasn't been pick, ban, Jace status. There's plenty of games where Jace was not banned and they didn't select it because Kingzone's thing with Peanut in the lineup, Valdez, is they've had the ability as 5 players to step up and be that hard carry, like Prey in the first 3 games of this series, but also step back. Khan has been on the gangplank. Everyone has taken the scaling side and also the proactive side of the matchups, and that's the reason that Kingzone instills so much fear to team around the world, is you can't ban out one person without 4 people getting exactly what they want at every moment. And having that mindset shift, having that trust in your teammates to allow anyone to be the carry on the day is what separates Kingzone from the rest.
Peanut coming in here, he's level 6 now, just ups the pressure in every single lane for Afreeca. We already have Kuro a little bit far behind, but now he's got to play even more passively, losing his control ward. Arguably getting a bit more effectiveness on the map, I'd say, compared to Mowgli, even though Mowgli does have the 85 damage over 0. I know you guys are loving those damage graphs.
Tucson has to teleport back into lane. Kog'Maw vs Kai'Sa, nothing special there. Want to stop Tucson from doing any sort of freeze, and now Kramer's awkwardly forced to lane, even though it was a cannon wave with no mana at all. So no bot lane control, no top lane control, and Peanut and BDD on the roam. This map looks suspiciously like a Kingzone dominated one.
Yeah. I think the call is coming in, though, as immediately Keen is backing up, but this might be too late. He's going to have to read it. Nice read from Keen. Does ultimate to get away from the Arctic Assault, but will it matter in the end? Trying to do damage. The Shock Blast is going to be dodged. Minions blocking that one, and First Blood will go over to BDD.
Keen did everything he could. He brought his dancing shoes. He was ready to go, but it did not matter. That's what happens when there's so many advantages on the side of Kingzone and no flash coming through from Keen. They get the kill. They force Kuro to walk over. Kingzone control the map.
That they do. There was no vision of that coming in. They still were able to read it, but not quick enough. Nicely done by Keen to try to survive as long as possible. Almost got the outplay. Rotation was a little bit too slow from Afreeca. They at least saved the turret at the end of the day.
And this is the disaster of playing against Kingzone when they get the early game going. A flash advantage in top. Very nice read from Keen. This was Smeb-esque in his ability to wait out the CC and not go for the predictable instant hook shot. But even after that, he still dies. Kuro can't make anything of it, and Valdez, basically, if you pause this game and say any team in the world can resume the state now, 10 minutes in, of where Afreeca is in, I think everyone loses. I think actually beating Kingzone when they have control of bot, control of top, a carry matchup in the top side, and first roam out of the mid lane is the most terrifying thing you can face in competitive League of Legends. There are so few good options. You're trying to lose the minimum everywhere, but when everywhere's on fire, you're going to get burned.
The Kingzone fans, certainly they can feel the victory already. It happens in League of Legends, the early game goes your way and you're just feeling so good, as Kingzone has to be. They're playing so smoothly as a team, really have come back from that game 1 loss.
They have so much priority around mid, entire bot side, even though BDD hasn't even gone an inch towards it. The Kog'Maw lane has had no priority. They're so happy to keep Kog'Maw lane. It's amusing. Look at the CS number. It's 113 to 97. 200 poor creeps plus have died before anyone has gone for a shopping trip. Because if you keep that Kog'Maw in lane, you know that top side is a paddock you're able to walk up to.
Yeah. Afreeca, unfortunately, from this position, you mentioned the huge lead that Kingzone has, but at least Afreeca does have Azir Kog'Maw. You get into the late game, they're going to be dishing out the damage as long as they can get to that late game. But Kingzone, one of the best teams at closing out games on time.
Seeing Mowgli and Keen top side. Flash is up. Ultimate is up. It's definitely an all-in play here, but Khan showing a lot of respect. We are still seeing the 2v2 lane extend, by the way, as we're now going up to 226 CS. Theory behind this for Kingzone is even though they're winning really hard and getting a bit of damage, they're not min-maxing, so you're like, why are they doing this? The only way that Afreeca win any sort of skirmish topside is if Tucson shows up with the Abyssal Voyage or an outplay. If Tucson's in lane, there's no Tahm Kench top.
Trying to bait in Khan here, but Peanut is coming in. They're going to get the stun, and they're trying to combo it down, but the flash comes in. And now Peanut's here on time. Can they get the damage now? No! The flash is going to come in from Mowgli. He does get the kill first, and now the TP trying to answer. Actually, it's the Abyssal Voyage trying to get on top of BDD. They do push him back. Now the focus is on to Peanut. He doesn't have his flash. He should be going down. They're going to give the kill over to Kramer. A fresh breath of fresh air here, going over to Kramer, picking up that kill.
That extra recall, getting Tucson topside, was able to actually answer that. That play happens a minute or two earlier. It always goes the way of Kingzone. Very nice detective work to get in there, Mowgli. He was unspotted. Gonna call the lane swap, and you can see Kramer and Tucson are done with this 2v2 stuff. They're trying to avoid it wherever possible.
Look at how far he gets baited in, but he knows he has the help of Peanut to come up the lane, up the river here.
That means something, but obviously when you're gonna 100% be followed by Keen, a 1-for-1 is all they're able to claim from this. The timing coming through from the Kog'Maw does find them stuff. Everyone rocks up topside, but the turret health is actually falling low, and Tucson, and it seems like just Tucson has had to stay top. We can't see the mini-map to confirm where the Kog'Maw's at.
Looks like he eventually made his way back in. Perhaps taking the Krugs. Yep, does take that out there. He's trying to catch up in CS. Does make sense, but eats a bit of turret health in the process. You'll notice that both the AD carries, they go back, pick up the Rage Blade. Certainly the item of the month, or maybe the year at this point.
Khan now has a Youmuu's Ghost Blade completed. It's a massive power spike here. Playing against Keen. Keen's ultimate's also on cooldown for a while, and that is information available to Kingzone, but they don't go for a true turret dive. Seeing the replay, and a 5-minute Dirk into a 12-minute Youmuu's Ghost Blade is every Jace player's happy place. They're reaching Nirvana watching this game.
Yeah, Keen awkwardly forced into the Ninja Tab. He delays his first item. Just going to be sitting on the Tiamat for now. We'll just have to play from behind, and that's really the story here for Afreeca. This is not the position you want to be in when you're down to match point for Kingzone. You don't want to have to say, oh, we have to survive for an extra 20, 25 minutes against Kingzone with this composition. Not the best feeling.
Topside, though, doesn't have the vision control that bot side did, and actually furthering down, doubling down on the 2v2 is pretty hard. They don't have vision control. Afreeca actually just trying to sneak a Rift Herald, unbeknownst to Kingzone, but that information is now there. Kingzone have to adjust their vision control if they want to have the same roaming potential topside they did earlier. But Jace is going to take everything on the bot side. He's not shy. He's pretty greedy, actually. In Korean culture, it'd be very rude, but he doesn't need any invitation to steal all your stuff.
Yeah. Stealing everything you can get. Kind of surprised he's not going for the Cloud Drake just yet. Needs a couple more items for that one.
See what the build is, because usually we see Hans Jace in tank matchups, and he goes for a very early Blade the Ruin King just to win the 1v1. Not as necessary here, but no lifesteal does make something like a Cloud Drake difficult to pick up. Peanut there for the lane gank again. Taliyah walking up. She will be spotted, though, on vision soon.
Yeah. Oh, boy, going to get locked up here, but Tucson is there in position. Not going to be able to engage on that. It's so annoying to deal with the fact that you think you might want to engage at some points, but BDD will always be there on the Taliyah. You go back to pick and ban. They decide to just take the more passive pick of the Azir instead of fighting for the lane to shut down BDD. And so far, he's been giving his run of the map on the Taliyah.
Well, that's what Kingzone were able to do from taking the Taliyah early. A surprise to Afreeca because they just played the Yasuo into the Taliyah previously. Remember, that was a last pick Yasuo, and if you're last picking in the first round, you have to deal with some bans towards your overall strategy and also a lot of other red flags. So that pick ban chicken was won by Kingzone. They get a standard Taliyah matchup, when that was probably one of the things we weren't prepared for, given the Yasuo pick not a week ago.
This game has looked a little bit different from some of the other ones. Usually the Drakes go down fast after some wins towards the bottom side, but it's been a lot of focus towards top. Certainly the carry matchup has made it way towards the top side, and now Kingzone are finally looking towards their first Drake. That Cloud Drake could certainly go down, but Afreeca looking to chunk down this top turret in the trade.
There's no all-in options for the Kog and Tahm Kench, so actually Jace, one release was a 1v2 champion, able to EQ minion waves, actually delays a turret take for a long time. He's very competitive. His flash was down, will be up soon. But they're not even going to get a turret from this because Jace is so safe in a scenario where it's not an engaged support, it's a disengaged support in the Tahm Kench.
Gonna check for the Rift Herald once again. As Prey comes on in here, you take a look once again at the scoreboard and just everything is going the way of Kingzone right now. Every lane, including the jungle, has a lead in terms of the CS. They get the first Drake. And now they're looking for potentially a play up towards the top side. They put down some control wards in the river, but this nice ward towards the Rift Herald will spot Peanut and BDD making their way up.
Found it very difficult to get a full stranglehold on topside vision and then threaten the Weaver's Wall play. So far, BDD has been predictable in his roam, so that means that everything's been a bit slower around topside. But you have to mention, go back what happened. Well, there was a free Drake on bot side and nothing punished it. Only a little bit of turret damage, no more. Prey already has the Evolve, I believe, on his supercharge. He was invisible, so that's a pretty good sign.
Yeah, that usually tells you.
No visual bugs, please. Right,
yeah. Gonna push in here with that, just a slight movement from Peanut. He actually just walks up towards there, and they say, okay, we gotta give up the turret. Again, Afreeca, they have to play passively. They lose the early game from this, and they say, take whatever you want. It's gonna be those outer turrets, the Rift Heralds, the Drakes, and they just gotta hope that they can hold on.
But let's turn to what happened in the drop. Let's go back in time once again. Kingzone went Jace when they could have gone for something a bit more standard and said, we just want to take objectives.
Ooh.
Let's hold that point, though. We're all here. We're fighting.
Trying to come on from behind. Prey in a little bit of trouble with the Weaver's Wall, but they're going to get on top of him with the Camille. And that should be a double kill now. The Rift Herald does go over to the side of Kingzone, but 2 kills in the trade go to Afreeca.
And what was I going to say? I was going to say Kingzone wanted anything other than a team fight. They wanted free objectives. Afreeca finally get a really nice play into the back line. Getting 5v5s is going to be so hard with how big Jace is. They get their first of the game, and they get 2 kills off the bat.
Very nice play, Afreeca. They are stepping up to the plate, not as passive as I thought they would be. They catch Prey in an awkward position, and they get the kill.
Prey does not use any summoners, doesn't even use the heal. He knows instantly that he is dead when they pop over with the blast plant. They don't get the extra kill onto Peanut, though, and that is the awkward thing. They can't pick up 3 kills. They do lose the Rift Herald, and recreating that sort of a fight is so tricky against the Kingzone comp that will not be grouped for anything other than very big monster objectives.
Yeah, certainly feels like a once a game, twice a game maybe. If you're really, really smart with your engages, kind of thing that can happen.
I mean, that play happens at, say, 1945. Rift Herald dies. They had 3 kills in a Baron. Genius. But recreating it so tricky, and this is definitely not playing with his food. Just a aggressive Rift Herald summon and want to chunk this mid lane turret down even further with a Zirin base.
Yeah, just right in the face of Afreeca too, even with all that CC they have on the Gragas. Now the wave is going to push on in. Nice Devour to save Kramer's life. And they do take out that turret. That's the trade, the 2 kills. And then the Rift Herald does go over to Kingzone, so they're not too worried about those kills.
Now for Kingzone, they want Khan with teleport in the bot lane, pushing up, and Camille hoping that he finds a way to outplay the Jace. Spoilers, very unlikely. And then it's back to the Barons, back to the Weaver's Wall, behind the objective, the Rage Blade onto the Kai'Sa to DPS it down. Probably not going to see Jace and Kai'Sa hitting at the same time unless they've already killed most of the members of Afreeca. A lot of the different map assignments for Kingzone here are win-win. No one can enter the Jace 1v1. They play topside so safely, get vision in, and then threaten the Baron. Kingzone have a lot of options, and once again, this is the ultra-standard Kingzone playbook that was denied in our first 3 games.
Let the Baron dance begin, or at least the Baron vision dance for Peanut. He's going to be on that duty. You notice that Mowgli is also making his way over to try to answer that. Was thinking about potentially a play up towards the top side, but now it's Afreeca that might look to make this play as Mowgli edges into the top lane, but good read from BDD to also back off.
There's just so many things Afreeca can't do. They can't have Keen lane with most of a Trinity Force and a Tiamat against a 2-item Jace. Not possible. They don't have strong engage. Kuro's not going to be an engager this game unless a fight is already decided, and the Abyssal Voyage is going to have to be defensive. And honestly, Tahm Kench should be next to Kog'Maw at all moments. That's the reality of going for this Kog'Maw comp. So Kingzone have every option. There's so little answers available from Afreeca. And right now, Afreeca Freecs, they just want to get some vision supremacy, take any easy objectives. They know there's a 5v5 they win later. It just seems like later will never come.
You mentioned how the Devourers from Tucson were a little bit lacking, especially in that last game. They have the confidence to get him back onto the Tahm Kench. Pretty much necessary if you're going to go for a Kog'Maw comp at this point, but it's not just about the Devourers for Tucson. He needs to be on top of getting Abyssal Voyages. We've seen how much he can get done with that ability. We'll see if he can actually replicate that as he did in some of the early games that we've had tonight.
How do you do that? You need to know where the enemy team is. You need them to be predictable. They can't get that aggressive vision this game. The Kog'Maw always second in lanes and honestly situationally afraid of being bursted by the Kai'Sa. So it feels like aggressive Abyssal Voyages. That's looking very tricky. Mowgli's role this game is the saddest of any jungler because honestly, the only way Keen picks up CS is stealing away some of his camps. He honestly goes the Relic Shield into the Targons just to stand next to the Azir and get a couple of little Targons procs and get a bit of gold because putting down the vision is going to be pretty significantly delayed. It's basically a laning jungler. He's already 10 camps behind the enemy jungler. They don't control anything, and every time those EQs come through, they're deathly afraid of an all-in.
At least Afreeca are going to be thanking their lucky stars that it's Cloud, Ocean, Cloud. No mountains, no infernals. Certainly the most popular and the most effective Drakes that we do have in this game that would allow this Jace to pop off even more alongside the Kai'Sa. So at least they've got that going for them if they're trying to pull off the miracle hold of probably 20 more minutes.
You give enough Cloud Drakes over to Khan, and we've seen his smooth moves. It was against SK Telecom for Longshu in the last grand final, where his outplays were big. This is a hard outplay.
Abyssal Voyage, he needs to get the damage down, but the Devourer is there, and another kill goes to Kramer. He is now 3-0-1. The lanes did not look so good, but little plays like that can get you back in the game.
That was really nice timing. That was the first time that Kingzone were disconnected with their Jace pressure for 24 minutes. They walk in, there's no counterplay because the enemy team is in base recalling, so they can't punish them on the map. It's only a kill. They don't get a flash from it, they don't get any summoner, but it's something that Afreeca get from just a very nice aggressive play. And now we will see that the cooldown from Tucson will be up there before too long.
Take a look at this. Nice ward from Kuro.
Jace walks up, and, well, the rest of Kingzone are disengaging. So Khan makes the measured play and says, well, I done goofed. Doesn't use the summoner. He backs away. They can return to the play, though, and Afreeca need to make that play happen multiple more times in the next 10 minutes. When the death timers get long enough, maybe then a Baron collapse is possible.
Yeah. I mentioned it buys you a little bit of time. It's also some extra gold onto your Kog'Maw to let him hit his items just that much faster. At least they got that going for them. So can they hold on once again is the real question. They've been very safe in terms of not letting anyone else be caught out on the map. Just Kramer always sitting under turret with Tucson. And right now really is the only moment as Kuro in kind of an awkward spot. We'll see if Kingzone want to go in there. The answer looks like no.
So how do you close this game out? Again, many teams have been in this position with a strong Jace in the side lane, but how do you actually win the game? Remember that Kingzone don't have a tank support, so only Sejuani can face check and put down deep vision. Getting Baron vision is really hard for this comp. There's not even any health onto the build from Gorilla. He's gone Twin Shadows just to try to put down some vision by finding people with the spooky ghosts because the health and the Black Shield is not going to be enough. If he Black Shields himself, then one of his friends can be taken down in that long cooldown. They need the Jace to once again force a reaction. They need someone to come and gank the Jace in the bot side, and then they can try to take the Baron down by sheer damage. But a safe Baron, which for Kingzone represents putting down deep vision and then turning onto it, is not possible in this Jace comp.
They find Tucson over here. Are they actually going to go in there? The Black Shield onto Prey. Maybe think perhaps, but nice response from Keen to get into position to help out Mowgli if he did get into danger, or rather Tucson on the Tahm Kench, I should say. You were talking about plays down on the bottom side to get on top of Jace. Well, the Abyssal Voyage is certainly one way to do that. Tucson was being pretty sneaky on top of a control ward of his own. I was thinking maybe he would try another play. The answer in the end was he just backs off again.
Shallow vision against this Kingzone team is enough to stop the Baron going down. And the Jace for now is only trading farm with Keen. The CS gap is actually closed between Keen and Khan. Not going to be a Flame Horizon this game, only 30 CS advantage for Khan, despite keeping up his summoners. So this is definitely the point where if you're a Kingzone fan and you're in ecstasy after the early game, you thought MSI was already shipped and ready to go. You're, clicking on the button there, jumping onto your travel agent, trying to get a ticket to an site in Europe. Well, slow down, because there's definitely no guarantees. Kingzone may be the best team at closing games against Jace, but I'm sure Afreeca will ready for a Jace game eventually over the course of a best-of-5. It's a very standard strategic choice coming through from Kingzone, and for now the Baron buff is an objective that Kingzone can't visit.
Yeah, it's definitely something they've scrimmed about, practice with some other teams. They have, 9 members in their entire team. They can try to scrim with them, set up really nice things. They mentioned they're practicing so much, and this is definitely one of the situations against Kingzone that you have to prepare for. I love that you bring up that point. So far, they've been squeaky clean. After getting behind 3,000 gold at around 18 minutes, you're thinking, well, we're in a bit of a bad spot, but that 3,000 gold is still the same gap.
It's smaller.
As we reach, yeah, it's actually smaller now as we're getting closer to 30 minutes.
And that means that for now, Kingzone haven't been able to advance up the map, get an advantage out of the Jace, getting more and more towards item parity against Keen. Peanut's all alone. Remember, he is the person who can walk up and try to find some vision clearing, but there's no Baron to turn on with this Jace comp, and they need Khan to pull some pressure to the bottom side.
So far, it's been kind of lackluster. He does some range shockwaves, and essentially these two top laners aren't really butting heads. There hasn't been a 1v1 big fight just yet. They're both successfully avoiding each other, and that means that Khan can't necessarily just full-on push down there. He doesn't have all of that pull on the map because of just that. Now, we do have the second Cloud Drake spawning here. You notice that Kingzone, they're setting up to try to bait someone out there. But actually, in the end of it all, it's Afreeca that are trying to run away here. And it looks like they should be just fine.
This is the sort of weird spot where you actually want to slow down the Drake and take it at 29 minutes, not try to rush it down before off spawn, because you need the Elder to spawn to stop Afreeca from having a strong defensive position around the Baron, but no more. So it's actually a very good time for Kingzone to be killing a Drake. They need the Elder on the map to add another variable that Afreeca can't prepare for. And that means the Elder Dragon will spawn just a touch after 35 minutes.
Yeah, nicely prepped there. They know that they're on a bit of a timer there themselves, even though they do have Prey, who has popped off 3 games in a row on the Kai'Sa, but still got to play around your compositions. Afreeca now coming into the river actually more forward than they have been for most of this game, as they notice some members of Kingzone going back. But in the end of the day, just taking some vision and just going to back off once again. You'll notice that the inner turrets are still up, and that's a win here for Afreeca.
A lot of burst damage onto the Gragas. Notice that Gorilla would not walk up. Didn't want to have to deal with being cast in. That does get them, again, some vision clearing. They inch forward, step by step, but impossible to clear all the deep vision, impossible to get full safety. That's why the Baron dance continues. People at home probably don't want to hear this, but it seems very unlikely. The game state will change significantly unless a big mistake is made by someone on the side of Afreeca. If you say, hey, what about a 2,000 gold lead at 35 minutes, they'd say yes, please.
Yeah. And you notice that finally Kingzone are saying, okay, enough with the shenanigans. We need to get in there. They're being a lot more aggressive with how deep they're putting in the vision. They're going as a team of 4 and saying, this is our jungle. But so far, Mowgli, he's been kind of the star of the vision from behind, right? He will never get caught. He says, okay, I'll check for the vision as I'm Gragas, and then I'll just back off when you come in, and once you leave, I'll just put down another control ward and re-establish that line. Hold the thought, though. They're trying to go for a pick here on a BDD, but immediately TP coming in. About to get awkward here. Khan now trying to disengage. Will he go in after Mowgli? Not going to land the Morgana Q. And that does mean that they do disengage once again. I know you guys are hating that word by now, but this does mean that Kingzone get a nice position in the middle of the map.
And Gorilla's actually walking up. He could have looked to try to interrupt backs. They're choosing between trying to brute force down the mid lane turret or try to burst down the Baron. They're going for burst. Gragas in base.
And here we go. Gragas very, very far away. It's going to have to be the roughest steal of all time. Can they do it? And the answer is no. Peanut getting the smite down at about 500 health. Afreeca, they hold on for a very long time, but at 31 minutes, finally Kingzone are able to secure the Baron.
Insanely smart Baron from Kingzone. It doesn't require deep vision. The jungler isn't even in the pit. They knew the enemy jungler couldn't be there. The Jace was grouped for the first time in the game, so they knew their speed. It was going to be sky high. And Sejuani just pops over for the smite. Easy as you like.
So you mentioned, how do you close out the game? Certainly the Baron is one way to help out with that close. How much can they chunk off here? They need to get some inner turrets and extend the gold lead and make it so that this Kog'Maw and Azir cannot pop off as we reach 40, 45 minutes. So far, getting that Baron you mentioned was extremely smart. But I'm looking to see if Kingzone in the finals here on match point, can they keep it together and actually close out the game?
And let's see what their approach is going to be, because the Jace, if he's not grouped, could easily be collapsed on by Keen. So right now, they seem to be grouping. Jace goes bot side, Kuro out of position for the moment. Not the world's best siege unless the Weaver's Wall is initiated. They want to play the side lanes instead. It's Prey.
Oh, Kramer eating so much damage. Prey with the stealth just sneaking up on him, and that means that the Kog'Maw gonna be forced to recall. That'll be the first inner turret for Kingzone.
Not often does the mid lane AD carry just walk up and almost assassinate. That's not something you see, but Kai'Sa has that power at 4 items here. Double Zeal item complete. They continue to rotate around the map. This was a minion wave that Jace brought up earlier. The inner turrets are gonna be indefensible for now, and Afreeca, just give them up.
Gonna take that one. At least they're holding the top lane, as you'll notice. Keen, without TP, is actually just pushing that out as far as possible. That's Kingzone setting their sights now on an inhibitor turret. We've seen this before. It's not 8.1. It's 8.6 as the Azir desperately trying to hold off these Baron minions once again.
There's a lane ward, but it doesn't seem like Keen's gonna come in. They're initiating.
There you go. The Devourer does come in, but now Mowgli in an awkward spot, but Peanut eating some damage.
Prey?
Mowgli nearly going down to the damage from Prey, but they do make him disengage, and that will be the first inhibitor. Once again in the front, Prey showing off that Kai'Sa saying, get the hell. Oh, there he is! They sniped the Kog'Maw! That is huge! That could be game-ending here. What will Kingzone do? They take out a second inhibitor. Let's see. They're going to push into these Nexus turrets now.
They're going to go for the jugular.
Oh boy, Kuro eating too much damage too. This could be the end of it. Peanut able to take out the top catch. Keen now jumping in. He gets one kill onto the Morgana.
Doesn't matter.
It's only the Morgana. The GA going to come on in here, and down he just go. Kuro can't do it. They're going to take him out, and down goes Mowgli, the ace in the end of it all. And it looks like Kingzone DragonX, as the Nexus goes down, will be your LCK 2018 Spring Split champions.
Kingzone DragonX come back to the LCK final. They do defend their crown. Not something we see too often in Korea. The best team in the regular season is confirmed to be the best team in the postseason. And now Kingzone DragonX go over to MSI. Still heavy favorites.
Looking to create a legacy for themselves. They win in summer 2017. They get another victory here in LCK. The genius of the coaches, or whatever Afreeca had, was not enough. Kingzone DragonX are your champions tonight.
Really interesting final, Valdez. So many different things to talk about. People will point to the Kai'Sa